Hello, my name is Bill Jiao, and today I'll be presenting the findings of my final anime paper. So the thesis of my paper was that a shrinking Japanese population, combined with growing demand for international for anime, has caused anime to lose much of its cultural odors and incorporate more foreign influences. So the first factor I'd like to talk about is Japan's demographic crisis. So over the last 10 years, Japan's birth rate has gone below 2.1, which basically means that over the past 10 years, there have been more Japanese people dying than there have been Japanese people being born. This is bad for anime companies for two reasons. The first is that it reduces the amount of people available to consume anime, especially problematic given that a lot of anime today is targeted towards young people like teenagers and adults and young adults, which basically means that people who the biggest consumers of anime are gradually shrinking, becoming smaller. And then the second issue is that it makes the workforce smaller and there will be less people to make anime itself. So because of this, anime studios are incentivized to do two things. They'll have to incentivized to outsource and send more of the work overseas to prevent production stoppages due to labor shortages. They are also incentivized to seek out foreign markets, make up for shrinking domestic demand. So this factor itself is a push factor. It's pushing anime to do it, but it's not the dominant factor. Explain why anime has a lot of anime studios today are taking into account foreign audiences. Second factor is anime's success abroad. So as my two sources show, not only is anime growing at double-digit exponential rates in the coming years, it's also even projected to exceed the domestic Japanese market. So because of this, anime studios actually have enormous incentive to make their uh, products tailored to fit the taste and preferences of foreign audiences, because if they don't do it, experience a large enormous opportunity cost. So how will they do this? So most successful anime abroad tend to have two features in common. The first is that they tend to remove cultural odors. So cultural odors is a term coined by the Japanese scholar Koichi Iwabuchi, and it basically just means the ways that the cultural features, images, or ideas of the work's origin country are are associated positively with the product during the consumption process. Now, this is just a way of saying that whenever a cultural odor is just basically something that causes the audience to attempts to make the audience see a particularly cultural aspect of the country in a positive light. So, for example, if the main character himself and uh, his friends are eating on traditional Japanese way of consuming meal, which is kneeling down on tatami mats and eating on a low-lying table, it kind of communicates to the viewer that this aspect of this way of eating meals is so normalized and good that even the main characters do it. So this on its own may not seem bad from a financial point of view, but the problem is that because other cultures by definition they have a different way of doing things, at best, they're going to see these aspects of work as alien foreign, and worse, they're going to repulse by it because since the anime itself normalizes these cultural aspects of Japan, or at least implicitly makes them seem good, foreign audiences are going to be at best see this as a strange see the work as strange or alienating because the characters are doing something that they usually do not. The audience themselves does not consider good or normal. At worst, they're going to be repulsed by it because they're going to see it as an endorsement of the activity, which the viewers might think, which the viewers might heavily disagree with. Because of this, successful works that tend to succeed are works that remove the cultural odors. An example of this is Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball Z itself, while it incorporates a lot of foreign influences, it does not really have a lot of cultural odors in the sense that the characters do things that are distinctly Japanese or make the audience feel like they are being shown something that the work is endorsing or implying it's good or normal. So the second way a lot of anime has been uh a second way anime is become successful abroad is by incorporating more foreign influences and reducing cultural barriers. So the issue with the anime that's just tailor made for a domestic Japanese audience, you a lot of the time though you typically incorporate a lot of uh, uh, information that you kind of need to know. You kind of need to be in the Japanese to understand. So, for example, if a character in an anime has a specific character that's designed like a yokai, that's then the anime is usually trying to signal to the audience that character has some attributes that are typically associated with the yokai that they resemble, and because and if anime has too much information that requires being embedded within Japanese context to know, then basically a lot of the information is going to fly over the heads of viewers because they won't have the cultural information to understand what the anime is trying to convey. So because of this, a lot of anime tends to incorporate lots of foreign influences to not only spice things up and like get audiences to better appreciate the work. It also helps reduce the amount of cultural barriers and cultural knowledge you need to enjoy the work in the first place. Because of this, a lot of successful anime tends to incorporate lots of influences that are like the worldwide. This usually means Western cultural ideas or influences because those Western ideas and influences tend to be disseminated worldwide. So you can see that, for example, in Spirited Away, there's a lot of Western architecture in the Japanese theme park in the dilapidated theme park because it kind of shows helps the audience better appreciate the work, especially if they're not from Japan. So these are the sources I use for my paper and this presentation. I hope you guys enjoyed it, found it informative.